You would rather me drink tequila than marijuana. I don't really understand that, but that's okay. If you want to harass people for just the pursuit of happiness, let's abolish Jeffersonian democracy and go with that. But the whole idea of denying this from the sick and dying is medieval. It truly is. And the idea of doing it out of pride, I mean, John Walters and other of the former DEA administrator and a number of other people are really going to have a lot of splaining to do when they get to the gates and there's St. Peter and they're saying, why did you deliberately hurt sick and dying people just for a job?
Well, you know, that I think is what troubles me as much as anything, is that if we take people like John Walters, if we take people like John Ashcroft, these are educated people, they're fairly intelligent, they have to be consciously ignoring the evidence in front of them. They have to be intentionally lying to say this kind of thing.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
This isn't the case of the government simply being misunderstanding or just getting the... This has been a conscious deception on the part of the government since at least the Marijuana Act of 1937.
Oh, yes, yes. You know, I mean, you can say, okay, I like the color lime green. And people will go, okay, you're right, it's kind of weird, but okay. But when John Walters, like he did recently on another another TV show, called marijuana poison, when it has never poisoned anybody in the history of man, he has to know he's lying. We had a town hall meeting, Tom DeLay, when he was still congressman, had this town hall meeting with a bunch of bigwigs. John Walters and his bodyguards came in, and you can tell John Walters is a Clintonic liar. He's Bill Clinton level.
Yeah.
And to be a Clintonic liar, there's several conditions. You got to be lying. You got to be telling a falsehood. You got to be doing it in a confusing way. You got to use legalistic and very, very convoluted argumentation, and you got to do it for a self-serving purpose. There are four principles to being as good a liar as our beloved ex-president. And I mean, because he was good at it. I mean, you know, I just wanted to, I was just stunned. I mean, his deposition when he talked about what the definition of is you can hear the other lawyers in the room gasping. Because it's just they're in amazement about this, about how well he can manipulate things. But it's truly kind of a sociopathic, premeditated, almost evil thing that they're doing, because they have to know. I remember listening to NPR one time. They were talking about needle exchange. And California was talking about needle exchange, and the reporter said, "But what about all the studies that says it works?" And this aide to some state senator or state representative said, "They're all flawed." And it's like, okay, so like, you know, you're just weird about this, or you're just in denial. It's just creepy. I think we have a phone call.
Oh, we've got another phone call. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, you're on the air.
Hello?
Yes, hi.
Just a quick question.
Okay. Please.
Do you think that if they were to legalize marijuana, they have a problem legalizing marijuana because of all the people that have been arrested?
That's a wonderful.
George, do you think that's why they won't?
Yeah, that's a really good question. They've literally destroyed millions of people's lives. They've damaged millions of people's lives, and they've destroyed tens of thousands of lives with this. And it will be incredibly humiliating for them to suddenly go, "Oops, sorry, we were wrong." We are still under Bill Clinton, which disappointed me under former President Clinton. Here's a man who fought like a cornered animal to protect his job because he smoked a joint because he put a cigarette to his lips and didn't inhale in his youth. And he had to fight like a cornered animal to keep his job. Yet he, in his administration, had arrests of marijuana going at 750,000 people annually. 750,000 people every year were having their lives damaged with marijuana. And I talked to this young man on Sunday, and he says, this really is a mess. And I said, can I join NORML? And I said, are you 18 yet? Because NORML does not allow minors to join. And he goes, no, not yet, but I want to be involved because of all the problems. He says, well, it's just terrible because of what can happen if you're arrested. He says, oh, I've already been busted. And I says, well, you should have raped a 2-year-old child because you would still be able to qualify for student loans. And he kind of laughed about that because he understood. But we do these things that are just insane. And the last time I grew up with this whole idea of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And someone's pursuit of happiness I might not agree with, but theoretically that doesn't matter. His rights are sacred. People do silly things. They have silly hobbies. They jump out of airplanes with a parachute that will hopefully open. They do model ships. They race little cars. They have a lot of silly activities out there that are, some of them even are like parachuting, are mildly dangerous. But it's not. I have no right to tell anybody how to run their lives, and why should anybody do that to me?
Let me go back to this guy's question, because it's a real issue. If we go out there are tens of thousands of people in jail or prison right now for having sold or having grown marijuana. There are millions of people whose lives in one way or another are hindered right now because they were at one time convicted of marijuana, even though they might have fully served a sentence. Now, can we put those lives together? I don't know. I think that if we were to legalize marijuana today, we would have to, in good conscience, institute some sort of amnesty program to sort out the people that are currently in jail right now. Now, how much further than that we can go, I don't know. And ironically, the funny thing is, as someone who spent most of my life in law, I honestly don't know what to do with the people in jail right now. Because if you take people who are in the federal jails, they're probably there on fairly long sentences. Someone who's in the county jail on a 60-day sentence for marijuana, I can say just turn them loose and not worry about it. But if you take someone who's been sitting in a federal prison for 7 or 8 years, it might be crueler to kick them out on the streets than it would be to keep them for another 6 months and run them through a halfway house.
Absolutely.
And I don't know, but how we're going to handle the amnesty system, how we're going to handle all of the thousands of people that are in jail right now, and whether or not we're ever going to do anything